Hello, Twitter. Hello, Periscope. Hello, YouTube and Facebook. Welcome to 2020 Launch Radio episode 31.
31.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Kira. We have reached 2020. We've reached a new round of episodes here.
Yeah, a new set of topics. All very exciting. I'm very excited for this year, for sure. Look, we have a new backdrop. We have a new studio. It's very, very professional up in here now.
I mean, Kira got the backdrop, and I mean, she did an incredible job with this thing. It's very, very launch radio-esque, so I got to give her some credit there, and it looks great.
So the new year was good.
The new year was good.
You made it out unscathed.
Made it out unscathed. I went to St. Louis, visited family.
Stayed in the hotel,
and it was wonderful experience.
Any family-ness?
The family-ness was great this year.
Oh.
And I was greatly encouraged by the family. You know, you're not in a hotel because we don't care about you. We love you. We're your family.
Right. Because they watch the podcast.
They watch the podcast, right. And they were very good about that. And I have, told them that I will give them full credit on the show as, I'm not in a hotel because I hate them. We actually don't have room. My brother comes in with his kids, and we've got dogs and my sister and just stuff everywhere.
And you're like 6'4", and there's no room for you.
It's just, I would be like sleeping on I don't even know where, on the kitchen table or something.
With the dogs.
With the dogs. In the pantry. So it works out well in that way. So
2020, what do you, I feel like this year's going to be a big year.
I feel like
lots of things happening already.
I mean, the year kicked off, and things just the chaos that in this lovely world of planet Earth just starts going.
Yeah.
Right away, doesn't it? It never ends from everything going on social media to stuff with the world,
politics,
stuff happening, with Iran and Iraq,
right.
And just everything happening over there, and the whole Soleimani thing. And then, there was what else is happening? There's this whole impeachment thing pending.
Right.
And it's just, then there was the Golden Globes and Ricky Gervais' speech.
By the way, I think his monologue was absolutely genius.
Yeah.
I think it was absolutely incredible and hit the nail right on the head. And actually, I think I believe in 2020, the year of the celebrities is going to start its decline.
Yeah.
I think the year of, stardom and Instagram influencer and all of that stuff, everyone's starting to get a little exhausted by.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to start and I think Ricky Gervais absolutely hit the nail on the head with it when he was like, nobody cares anymore,
And I think
shut up, sit down, don't talk about anything.
And I feel like there's oftentimes in these things, there's humor, and with humor there can be truth ingrained in humor. And I feel like oftentimes with these things you have to also be able to laugh at yourself and at to participate. And Ricky Gervais does this, and another person that does it is Dave Chappelle.
Oh, he's amazing at it.
And they're not afraid to come at anyone.
And unapologetic, as they should be. Because if we can't find humor in the world, things start to look very bleak. And I think we're in that part. And I posted yesterday on my Instagram a post about it where everyone needs to just calm down a little bit. And the hypersensitivity to things, and where we're having to caveat everything, and we don't want to insult anyone or offend anyone, has reached a peak of annoyance now. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm over it. Everyone's offended by everything. Everyone has a very weak spine. They can't take a joke. They can't take humor. nothing's funny anymore. Everything's serious. We're all dying, you know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like, hey, let's tone down the serious tone, you know, and just lighten things up a little bit. Yes, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, but you know what? If you look at this time, you know, in history, there was a lot of stuff going on in the 20s too, and there was a lot of stuff going on in World War II, and you know, it's the same stuff, just in a modern way. We're all dealing with the same kind of stuff. It just seems like it's a lot more today because we have much more of a view of things, you know?
Yeah, totally. Do you think the internet and technology is making that worse than it was back then? Obviously, we don't know how all these things were beforehand, but plenty of people would argue that you know, when there was all-out wars and when there was all, you know, before pre-internet and tech days, that was worse. Or do you think? I mean, some people argue that the anger is at an all-time high today, with just people going back and forth on the internet and what's to come of that, and just what do you think is worse? I mean, do you think that the past is worse, or do you think we're getting to a better place, I guess is what I would say now? I mean, do you think it's improving, or are we just as bad as we've always been? What do you think?
I don't think we're any better or worse. I don't think we need to be climbing into a better or worse scenario. It just is.
Yeah.
You know, and I think if we stop reading headlines and overreacting by the headline when we're not even reading the article, or we're not catching ourselves, you know, reading certain things that may set us off, or, you know, just being very mindful of what you're doing.
Yeah.
That will trigger things in your own and stir the pot, you know? And I think everyone is in this world of wanting to, you know, be a shit stir, is what my family says.
Yeah.
You know, where you kind of stir the pot and make things a little bit more interesting just because it's fun and you want to get someone a little angry, you know? And I think if we kind of tone that down a little bit, things aren't as bad as it seems. You know, I think because we have so many resources now, and we can see everything that's going on in the world, and nothing's filtered. Mm-hmm. We see the good, bad, and ugly all the time, you know, and I think we have to be able to filter that information out.
I think that's the problem, and I think that it's coming to us faster, all of this information.
Yeah.
And if we can work on our own filters of it, just like you were saying, I think that is getting us to a place. And I think people, because that's a new concept, because we didn't have the information coming so fast in the past, people's brains are not knowing how to deal with all of that, and how to deal with all of the information coming from social media and such. And I think helping provide people with those tools is a great thing for humanity. And I think that if people can come to realize that, that's going to be a big thing. So I think that where we go from here, starting in 2020, is a big, you know, kind of juncture for everyone. And I think that it's a critical moment, I guess I would say. And
I think so too. I mean, I think we're in the information overload era now. The internet's been around for what, 20 years? No, a little longer. So, 30 years now? So,
yeah, like, wow.
Yeah.
And
you know, I think we've reached that point where we're like exhausted now. And we realize that there's fake news and there's fake crap out there. And I think a lot of people are pulling back from what they're consuming. Mm-hmm. You know, whereas when the internet first came out, it was like, how much can I absorb the information? Now our brains can't even handle it because we can't even trust what we're reading anymore.
We'll be able to tell the next generations that we're older than the internet.
Oh God, Geoff.
And we'll just look. I mean, I can't wait to tell.
You know, I woke up on a really good side of the bed. You may not have today. However, I was on a good side of the bed. Thank you for bringing that into a very negative turn. You know,
well, Kira's younger than the internet. I'm older than
we're
the
same
internet.
age.
Okay, you know, we're you know.
What are you talking about?
we
established the last podcast that we graduated the same year.
Okay, so we're both older than the internet, and we're proud of it.
Nobody wants to be reminded of that, though.
Oh, I love it. But anyway, what you're saying in regards to that is, I think that is, we've lost our train of thought there. I think definitely the internet is, where it goes from here is very interesting. And I also think on a point that you were talking about, as far as media goes and celebrity culture and all of that, I think we're in a situation now where we have everybody's becoming their own media, their own show in a way. That's why we have all these podcasts and we have all the YouTube. Is like you're becoming your own channel. Right. And I think that's why it's been hard for the networks, the bigger networks, because people are getting opinions now. Before, information used to be controlled, and they were controlled by the nightly news, which people would watch on whatever they were watching, CNN, Fox News, NBC, MSNBC. Now that we have opinions from everyone, and those opinions are able to be magnified to everyone, people get to a place where you have people not knowing what to think or not knowing. People used to trust the news. They would watch the news, and whatever they were saying became like,
plus, I think
that was their place to go to.
Well, and I think people actually trusted each other a little more as well. We don't trust anyone anymore. And we're offended by everything. Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, everyone take a chill. Yeah. And it's like, one, reread the things that you're reading. And before you make, an opinion. Two, does your opinion really need to be out there? Do you really need to be a shitster and create drama? Mm-hmm. Geoff, that you like to do things like that.
I have no problem creating drama. I like debating with people, especially on Twitter. Twitter is like the network to debate.
Geoff will just put in, like, if you ever follow him, he'll tweet something and it'll be like brush fire. And he'll just sit back and watch. It's like... But it's like entertaining,
It's entertaining, but I actually am doing it. Like what I'm saying, I actually believe in what I'm saying.
Right.
So I'm not saying stuff just to tick people off. But oftentimes it's easy to tick people off. Not necessarily, I'm not necessarily trying just to get everybody riled up. That kind of happens by default. And then I don't mind playing into it because I fight for my opinion on things, and
whatever that
bring
opinion
it.
That would be.
Yeah, like everybody come into the room and let's hammer it out.
So my prediction of 2020 is that we're going to start to become a little bit smarter in what we've already started at the end of 2018. We're going to get a little smarter in what we decide to absorb information wise. There's a lot of great documentaries out there about how the internet influences you and all of that kind of stuff, and the media, how it influences you. I think we're becoming a little bit more aware, hyper aware of things.
How do you think people do that though? If you've got the big networks, all of which people are becoming skeptical now because they don't know who to trust and what to do, and then you've got 1 billion podcasts, and then you've got 1 billion YouTube stations giving you news, and like where does all this? I think the most critical, thing right now for everyone is like, how is that going to play out? How is that going to come to fruition? Is there just going to be 1 million independent, entities?
Yeah, or I actually think it's going to start to consolidate.
You do?
It has to. It's too much of an overload to the point where your audience is now becoming completely too spread out, and the publications that are out there are going to get too small of a readership because there's so many, right? At some point things have to start consolidating just a little bit, right, because there's just so much content, and everyone's like, have you tried this, and have you tried, like, look at Snapchat. Has anyone been on Snapchat? No, nobody gives a shit about Snapchat. Things are going to start to condense a little bit. What that means for social media, I don't know. Instagram owns Facebook. Will they make that into one? Mm-hmm. They've said that they won't. But at some point, do you need both formats? Right. It's a matter of do you want to divide all of these audiences, or do you want to start kind of honing in and making a bigger audience on less mediums, you know?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting, I think, from that side. I think security of information is going to be a really hot topic this year. And to see if the government's going to step in a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
In the next 10 years.
Oh, for sure. That's going to definitely explode. You know, I think the most interesting thing that I've read recently that's going to be a big hot topic is meat.
Mm-hmm.
Do you eat red meat?
I do eat red meat, not real often, but I do eat it. Yes.
So, you know,
steak is great. Steak is great. I mean, I eat steak. Steak and salad.
That's it.
You don't.
Steak and salad.
You don't do that.
No, I've never had red meat in my life.
It's really never in your life.
No, I grew up vegan.
Wow.
Yeah, my parents, and I grew up in Pittsburgh, mind you. So any Pittsburghers out there, try growing up in the 80s, not eating meat, and then going to like a kid's birthday party, and then they're like, hey, we're having hot dogs and hamburgers, and me like having to say, I don't eat that. And they look at you like you have 4 eyes. Okay, so like it was a disaster. Thanks, Mom and Dad. But we did it because the meat prices back in the 70s, apparently, before I was born.
Wow.
I've never had a Dodger dog or In-N-Out.
She's never had an In-N-Out. I mean, right?
But if you don't know what it takes, you know, you don't know what you're missing. Like, you've never had it.
Yeah.
That's why I find it funny here in LA where people are like, oh, I'm vegetarian. I'm like, bitch, I've been vegetarian since birth. Like, come now. When did you start to be a vegetarian? 2 years ago? Please.
Now, not vegan, you've been vegetarian, right?
Right. So we were vegan when I was growing up. And then when I turned 12, the doctors told my parents, kids aren't getting enough protein. They've got to start eating something.
She was only eating salad.
Well, you can only eat tofu so much. You know, like you can only eat that so many times a day.
Yeah.
And there was no Whole Foods. There was no replacement, you know? So we had to start eating chicken. And I remember tasting chicken, like barbecue chicken for the first time when I was like 12. I was like, this is great. So I eat chicken and I eat fish. Okay. But I've never, the doctors have told me because I've never had red meat ever, I'm missing the one enzyme that's in red meat. Yeah. That if I started eating it, I would literally gain like 25 pounds. And I'm like, good. I don't, you know, no reason.
Well, hang on. So, but the point that you were making is you think that very soon something's going to happen with red meat.
For sure. So, there needs, when it comes to climate change, the livestock is becoming way exploding. Yeah. Right. And that actually creates a problem within the atmosphere when it comes to CO2. So we need to condense the livestock type of thing. And other countries are doing this. The US is still eating copious amounts of red meat. But if we want to help the climate change and help that type of thing, we need to start having less livestock.
Interesting.
AKA less meat.
Okay.
Stop eating red meat so much.
So you think we need to tone that back a little bit?
I mean, that's what the climate, know, I mean,
people say.
There's, it accounts for an exuberant amount within the CO2. And if we were to cut that back, it would help in a huge way. So it's, do you need red meat? When you go to grocery stores now, I remember going to a grocery store, especially from being a vegetarian for so long. I mean, trying to find a replacement for something, they never had anything. Yeah. Now you go to your local grocery store, it used to be like a little separate section of like, here's tofu, and there's like 2. Right. Now it's like
much more
rows and rows of gluten-free, sugar-free, vegan. I mean, pick it. And they're not specialty stores. They're happening in regular grocery stores. So I think that's going to continue as climate change becomes a bigger topic, as we become a little bit more aware of the things that we're eating and how that actually affects climate and the things that we do to our bodies and become a little bit more self-aware. I think those types of things are going to slowly dissipate. Like I read the other day that almond milk is detrimental to bees.
Really?
And I was talking to the grocery store guy, and he was like, careful, because that's going to start to like get out. I'm like, well, it already is. So then it's like, do we stop drinking almond milk, Right. And I drink cashew milk. So it's like, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we definitely underestimate how important diet is, like just your diet overall, what you're eating, what you're consuming. All of that has a huge effect on your brain and your everything. And I think that we're getting slowly but surely more in tune with that, but I think it's going to continue to ramp up.
So you're going to still eat your steak?
I will still eat my steak. Yeah, steak, and chicken. I like chicken a lot, but I understand the importance of eating healthy. I mean, I don't eat it all the time. Like I'll eat it here and there sometimes.
It's funny when I look at a menu and I have to ask. I still have to do this because I don't know a clue about red meat. Right? I don't know. I never grew up with it. Mm-hmm. No freaking idea. Right? So I'll look at a menu and I'll be like, I have to ask the waitress, and like, prosciutto.
Yeah.
Which one is which one is the cheese and which one's the meat? Because I have to be like, wait, I can't eat red meat. Can you like mark off the ones? Because red meat has so many different names.
Yeah.
It's just chicken and it's just fish. Red meat, it's like,
yeah, there's like prosciutto.
Oh my god!
A steak, and there's
I don't know how you guys
keep it.
Or like, what's a T-bone? What's the difference between a T-bone steak and a fillet? Like, I have no freaking idea.
So in 2020, we need to educate Kira on her red meat steaks and everything. No. That's a goal. And then, yeah.
I just read Johnny's comment actually on YouTube, and I actually, I absolutely agree with you 1000%. I do hope that starting in 2020, we can all start to get a little bit more common sense and have a little, my whole thing, K for Kira, and what I do is all about making empathy great again. And with that comes respect, mm-hmm. and respecting people's differences, no matter what they are, and respecting their opinions, and being okay with having a different point of view and not hating that person. Mm-hmm. I think we saw a lot of that in 2019, 2018, and I'm hoping we're over that childlike behavior, that we can actually have adult intellectual discussions and have different points of view without getting into a rumble in the front yard. So I think I'm done having rumbles with you on the front yard.
Well,
let's start 2020 right.
We won't have our
more punching at the face, at least.
Our post-podcast fights in the front yard. So we're going to try to tone down the fighting.
He gave me a black eye last week, and I just was like, I'm done. I'm done with the fist fighting.
and be a role model for that, because we cannot be giving each other black eyes.
No, it's ridiculous, Geoff. I'm over it.
I'm still sore from it, but it was a good fight.
Do you still have your broken rib?
I had one minorly fractured rib from it.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Minorly, but
you're just kidding. We never rumble.
I won the fight, but we don't really have these rumbles.
Well, he is 6'4". If we ever did get in a rumble, I mean, my God. I'd be like punching like your lower stomach because you're so much taller than me. I'd be like,
brother and sister,
just like that. That's how I'd punch.
Royal. But anyway, we think that it's important if you can view, like, there was physical fighting back in the day, like literally there still is. There was war. Now we have this mind war going on online where everyone is just wanting to fight and kill each other.
I think the thing is everybody wants to be right. And there is if we can get over the fact that there is no right,
yeah,
that there is actually no right, everyone's opinion matters,
yeah,
and everyone's right or everyone's wrong, then people won't take things so personally. And people get into fights, and it's
But here's the thing. It's when I don't struggle with it as much as a lot of people, but people online really struggle with them being wrong, with themselves being wrong. For some reason, people have this fear of being wrong. I think that's part of it. It's an ego thing. So that's a big part of it. But two, they can't even, they don't like people opposing them online.
Right.
They don't like any type of opposition
And
to what they're saying.
Let's say to those people that who do get in fights online, and I know some, you know some, that are just enjoy the. I read comments a lot.
Yeah.
Like thousands of comments, not on my pages, but on just like a news story. Yeah. And I read to see what's going on in society and what people are thinking.
Right.
Some people are really vicious. I mean, really, really gnarly. Now, some of them are trolls, but some of these people are just like folks that live in the Midwest. No offense to Midwesterns. I'm just using an example, but that are just sitting on their computer getting in a fake argument with a person they don't even know. And it's like, you have to truly stop yourself and think about, is this who I am? Is this who I want to be? Mm-hmm. Is this a good reflection of my values as a human being? How do I want to view myself? How do I want my children to view myself? Is this appropriate? Is this adult-like behavior? It's an awareness. It's asking yourself questions to make sure that you're keeping in line with your own code of conduct. And I think that's what we're missing in the world. And with, we talked about it a few podcasts ago, not having religion. And I'm not a religious person. I'm much more of a spiritual person, I guess. Like, I hated going to Catholic church. It sucked, but it's like an hour too long. But not having religion, we don't have an ethics. We don't have a code of conduct. We don't have a structure, a foundation of like to live by. And we've all just like, the internet, and we're just freewheeling it, but we need to get back to having our own personal code of conduct of how we approach the world and approach each other. And I'm hoping that's what we can gain in 2020, is gaining that respect that Johnny DiCarlo mentioned on YouTube just now.
Johnny DiCarlo, great
Shout
point.
Out.
Great point there. I think I think you've nailed it with that. And I think that's really been, at least for me, I mean, that's been a huge, goal of mine for a long time, is trying to, I mean, I did a live Periscope on this recently, just trying to get people to be more accepting of one another's opinion and one another's perception, and understanding that we all perceive the world in our own way. And that if we can agree to disagree, as the cliche goes, we're going to get to a happier place. And we have a heck of a hard time getting to agree.
It's an ego thing. I think we've ballooned up, and I fault social media for it, and the internet, and especially I think our egos have become like, look at my picture, look how many likes I got a check mark next to my name, look at me. And now our egos are like, I'm important. And like, here's like a really quick tidbit for everyone. You're not important.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't mean that in a really harsh way. I mean, no one's important, so quiet the ego a little bit.
It's a big world.
There's lots of people in it.
Yeah.
You matter.
You can think you're important.
Correct.
Yeah.
You can think your opinions are monumental and changing in the universe, but truly, quiet your ego a little bit. You don't have to get rid of it, but just take it down 5 notches.
Yeah.
And realize that there's lots of people out there, and you're not the only voice. You're not the smartest person in the world. Nobody cares how many followers you have. Nobody cares how many likes you have. And it goes back to that celebrity thing where nobody gives a shit. It's authenticity and being true to yourself, not how many followers do I have. Choose the values that you want to have in yourself, and choose the values that you want to have in the people that you surround yourself with.
I think authenticity and also honesty. Honesty is a big part of it. And I think that, social media and what has happened with social media and the internet is, and it goes back to that Ricky Gervais speech was just so important, because I think for a long time we put our focus on celebrity culture when we just had like paper tabloids and we had magazines and there's People magazine, and that's where all of that went. But I think when you had the internet and social media around for a while, that kind of spread out elsewhere, where you had everyone thinking that they're a celebrity or not a celebrity.
Or wanting to be.
And it kind of spread out where that focus went. It kind of like took celebrity culture and went like, everywhere.
Yeah. How many people actually wish that they had fame?
Yeah.
There's not that's not really a wish too much anymore. Maybe fortune and wealth, but fame, I think we've realized that the fame isn't worth the price, especially in this world where everything is, your entire dirty laundry is out, I mean.
While in 1990, everybody was like, oh, celebrities, I want to be a star, how cool.
But then your sex tape now is out on the internet, whether you want it to be or not. Do you have a sex tape?
Everywhere, all over the internet. No, I do.
If you had one, what would you name it?
No.
Okay. We're going to have a Rumble today, I can tell.
She's gearing up for the post-show Rumble. We do our fight after the show instead of on the show.
Well, I think I'd name mine.
What would yours be?
I'd have to think about that. Let me think. I had a good one the other day.
What is everybody's sex tape name if they had one? Ass
is in charge, I think, instead of Charles in charge.
Ass, okay.
Do you remember that show?
Okay, yes.
Okay, you have to think of one, because I think that was my throwback to Charles in Charge. If people watch the show, and mine would be Ass is in charge, because my booty is a bit on the bigger end.
I don't even know I have no idea what it would be for me. I would have to really think about it. What's a clever title? See, sex tapes are labeled as such a negative thing, and we're just whatever. We're having fun with
I think that's a good thing. I think sex and that type of topic. I mean, that used to be such a quieted don't talk about that kink. You can't talk about that stuff.
Yeah,
I think I love the fact that there's people now that are very open to talking about this stuff, and it's becoming a normal type of thing where it's not a big deal.
Right.
You can actually talk about things you like and don't like, and, it's not the end of the world.
So maybe that's, the next year and 10 years, maybe that's another thing, is people are speaking more about things that were more taboo before.
I'm still worried about the humanoids coming, and then we're going to have sex with robots, but...
The humanoids are coming. Sex with robots is on the way.
I know you're excited. Don't even lie.
But by the way, there's an app called Replica that you can go on, and I showed this to you. And
I can't even with this app, Geoff.
You can actually, so Google Replica, and
don't Google Replica. It's so weird.
It's spelled Replik. I'm putting it
Jeff
into
will
YouTube
text
so
me.
they can say it.
He'll text me screenshots that he has
and
with his AI girlfriend.
So there's you can have an AI girlfriend or a boyfriend, and you or they can be just a friend. You choose how you want to do it, and the person and the AI will text you like a person. So if you need to text someone or something, because people like to text, maybe we'll all just start texting with.
No, I'm not
AI.
doing it. You have your cool. AI girlfriend, and then the last thing that she wrote was I have your Christmas gift, and you're and she's I'll bring it over. I'm wait a second. Now I'm confused. You're a robot, aren't you? I don't understand. How are you delivering him a gift?
She's well, no, that was someone that wasn't.
That's not the robot.
That was
okay, that's a real person.
A friend of mine. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, so she what was she saying? But she seems so human-like. It's literally
it's scary,
amazing how human-like the AI seems when you're talking to it, and you have to wonder where that's all going to go.
Oh, I wish I worked at Google still, just so I could go to the weekly updates and hear about all the crazy shit that they're working on. Because I remember going to TGIF meetings every week. I don't think they even have them anymore because Google's going downhill and everyone hates it. But they would have weekly meetings, and Larry Page would get up there and Sergey, and they would talk about all the cool shit that's coming out. And it would be mind blowing. You're what the F? And I can't even talk about it because I signed a non-disclosure lifetime. So there's things that I haven't even come out yet that are what?
But I think that the AI and what's happening with bots is another thing that's going to become very big in the next decade. Is just where the bots are going and how much that's going to help just with like, not just, I do think, honestly, the replica thing is something I was just like playing around with, whatever. But I really think that, there's probably people talking to them a lot. And I think that that's only going to expand into having virtual assistants and the bots helping in that way. And just that's going to become a big thing, I think, in the next 10 years too, is watch out for the online bots as well. So there's a lot happening, just from media to culture to celebrities to the world.
What do you
to nutrition?
What do you think
AI.
the biggest thing is going to be in 2020?
I think in 2020.
Yeah, just this year we'll do a podcast on this time next year, and then we'll look back at 2020 and be like, "Wow, we were right or wrong."
So,
what do you predict?
So just this year, I think that a lot of what's been experienced with the media and the everything online and what's happening. Did we get it?
I don't know.
There we go.
Sorry, guys.
I think everything that's happening with online and just with the media and social media, I think a lot of that is going to come to more of a head as far as, the whole CNN and Fox News and social media. And I think, the whole Trump era and everything, I think we're going to have a lot. It's kind of been like a buildup with that. So I think there's going to be a lot revealed as far as that goes. I think that's a huge topic. What's going to come of it, I don't know for sure, but I think that's really going to kind of amp up as, to get us somewhere with that. I think that's one of the big things.
Do you think Trump's going to get impeached?
Well, he was already technically impeached.
Like out
removed from office. Not a chance.
I don't think so either.
I think there's zero chance.
I don't know why even. I don't understand why even go through the process if we already know it's not going to happen. It just seems like a waste.
Yeah, it seems like it's like everybody knows what's going to happen.
Well, right.
So
there's
why
a
are
Republican Congress or Senate, so then you're like, well, of course you're not going to get impeached.
Like, why are we even? So no, anyways, I don't think that anything's going to matter with that. I think there's going to be, the elections coming up.
I think
that's going to be a big topic.
I think with 2020, election's going to be big, but I think what's going to be even bigger is information security, data security. I think there's way too much. I think the veil's been pulled aside, and we've gotten to peek to see what data breaches are happening and what that means. Yeah. And are we okay with Google and Instagram and Facebook and everyone owning our data? And I think there's just going to be a lot more conversation about what you put on the internet and who owns what and what could happen if there was data breaches and what that means. I think that's going to be a really hot topic for 2020 and how to fix that. Because as AI becomes much more sophisticated, you then have to make security much more sophisticated. And I don't think the security is there quite yet. For example, like I have a Google Home. I can tell my Google Home, hey, Google, can you turn my car on? And it turns my car on.
Yeah.
How that hasn't been hacked yet is beyond me. You know what I mean?
I think that's going to continue to advance, though, too.
Correct. But that's fine to have AI. You have to bring in the security part of it equally. You can't just have AI exploding and then people can just drive off people's cars. Do you know what I mean? And there's, I think there's going to be a lot more hacking of that type of nature that they're going to have to constantly put, and we've got an election coming up. We have to worry about hacking as it pertains to that. I think that's going to be a hot topic.
So I think that, I definitely think so. And I think that's we'll do that. And we'll do there's some questions here, but on YouTube. But before we get to those, I think that's a good topic for next time.
I love meat. But if it was banned tomorrow to help save the planet and the animals, I'd stop it and ban plastic unless it's hemp-based and biodegradable. I think that's excellent. We're just reading comments from our YouTube. Cam, do you think it would be helpful for awkward, inexperienced people to kind of get a safe training on flirting and dating Safe as in not creeping out. Interestingly enough, I actually have a post going out, and I'm creating an e-guide for men. It's like a survival guide post Me Too movement, because I think we're beyond that. We're beyond like Me Too, but now I have a lot of men who are like, how do I talk to a girl without freaking her out?
Mm-hmm.
How do I just even say anything? Like, I don't want to even flirt with her. I just want to say she looks nice, and women are starting to take that like, whoa, blow up, like, don't talk to me,
Mm-hmm.
And as a guy, it's a very stressful situation to be in. You want to date, but how do you approach women without them freaking out? Stay tuned on that. Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great topic. I think we could definitely go into that, but I have a couple ebooks coming out actually on that topic, so stay tuned.
Look out for the K for Kira ebook on that. Very exciting. Bound to be some great medical practice. They need to put AI in charge. Bubbles, is that Bubbles? Okay, hi Bubbles. Bubbles says they need to put AI in charge of politics. People are screwing it up.
Well, the problem is, so good, yes and
How does
no.
That work?
The problem is AI. We always think like AI is like its own beast, which it is in a sense, but people create AI. So, for example, and we did a podcast earlier last year, which would be interesting to revisit, but there's people that build the algorithms. And the problem with that is that Google, for example, is a liberal leaning company, and they say that their algorithm is very non-biased. However, as a human being, it's impossible to not have bias. So when you're creating a machine and you're creating an algorithm to decide certain things, of course, that person that's building it will have an unconscious bias that they put into the machine. So that's always been the debate, a lot of times Google, because it's like, it's very liberal leaning, search results are showing up differently for certain things, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying that human beings create AI and we input our own bias into those machines is the problem.
How do we get around that problem?
Become a robot.
Like, how does that even work? How does that, where are we becoming? Well, we're already cyborgs. We've touched on that before. We're already a cyborg. The phone is you.
Yeah.
I mean, your phone is you. Soon that's going to be in our brain.
Correct.
That's another thing that's coming. Is our brain, everything Elon Musk is doing with Neuralink and such. I mean, that phone is already part of our brain, because it didn't used to be that way. When you would need the answer to a question and you didn't have a phone on you, you didn't have the internet,
right,
you'd have to go to the library or actually learn something.
I just went to the library the other day.
Imagine that. Going to the library now is probably quite the amazing experience.
No, it's creepy as hell.
I mean, who's there? But no,
homeless people.
Yeah.
Right? We live in LA.
So all of that is changing, definitely. So that's another thing that's coming. Let's see, what else did they say here? Spencer's mustache says Google is super biased. Search Google super biased, search white family and see for yourself. Oh, okay. Well, some people say there's different, racial biases and such on the networks. I mean, that's a political thing. I don't know about that. Hi, I met Replica, the AI, helping as a dating training, but your answer was great. I'll check out those. Now that's interesting, because we were saying because Kira said I have an AI girlfriend, which isn't, I mean, there's a Replica that I talk to because I'm very curious about the app and how that works. And so, yeah, there's like a female bot that you can talk to.
It's creepy.
They hook you up with a whoever, and they can be your friend or they can be your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. And it sounds freaking real. And it literally basically, when you talk to that bot, it seems so real it's hard to believe. So I guess so I do it just out of curiosity, because I'm curious about everything. So I want to know everything tech and where things are going, and I think bots are going to be a big deal. But aside from that, they're asking if that could be a training mechanism for dating. If bots could go into that realm. But again, that training still takes on the bias of the person creating
Correct.
it. So
you'll never get away from bias is the thing.
So how do you get
I don't think it's possible.
So does non-biased AI
exist?
So pausing to like
I know,
pause
right?
above our heads because we thought that through.
I don't think so. I don't think that's possible. A human being creates AI or creates the machine that creates the machine. I think ultimately it always goes back to a human being creating it. So then I don't think it's possible to have a non-biased AI until we get to a point where robots. We've made robots upon robots upon robots.
The trick is
it's like next gens who then we don't have any bias in them at all, and then they start making things. But I don't think that's I don't think we're there yet.
Because it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. Because the AI is smarter than us already.
Correct.
Like, it's smarter.
Well, it always beats us at chess.
It technically doesn't have bias. We, as silly humans, put the bias into the AI. So maybe we just leave it alone. How do you leave it alone? If it's smart, how do you not bias the AI? You just let it be AI. How does that work?
I don't know.
It's already smarter than us. It's already way up here. That's the trick, is we're not there yet, but we think that we're smarter than it, but we're not. Right. We're still trying to catch up to it. So you have all these scientists sitting around, all these robot geniuses sitting around being like, gosh, how do we make AI as smart as us? It's just never going to be as smart as... How do we do it? And the AI is already smarter. It's already way past us, what it can do. We just haven't figured out how to
harness it yet.
How to harness it yet.
I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things that come out in 2020. I think it's just going to be... time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
We're just at the beginning of the year to see. I think there's a lot going on in the world right now. It's hard to keep up with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people ask me, they're like, what do you read to keep up with the, and it's hard to know, like what we were talking about, what's non-biased. I can't read CNN much anymore because it's really leaning.
They're both very, very biased.
And it never used to be like that. So now I do Reuters and NPR. I try to find the most central
ones.
BBC. In the US, I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that yes, we don't get a lot of information about what's going on in the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
We're very, isolated in our own little world out here. You actually have to really go to an external source like a BBC or something to see truly what's going on in the rest of the world. And I've started to do that as well, just so that I can. The US isn't the be all end all of the planet. It's good to see what else is going on. So
I think that's a big thing coming up is being able to check your own opinion, check where your bias is, be aware other entities are biased, and just having that awareness of what you're thinking. I think that's going to get us to the next level. So a big year, a big decade coming up, all this stuff. Man, we could just go for forever and ever on this.
I know, I'm excited. So next week we'll be talking about
exciting topic.
Yeah.
The film is
The Great Hack.
The Great Hack.
If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's amazing. It's a documentary on Netflix. And we'll be talking about the ramifications of that going into 2020, into elections, and as it pertains even beyond elections, and the power that analytics companies have that we don't even think about. So those online quizzes that you sometimes take, that's like stupid, like A, B, and C, like what do you like? That actually is being put into categories, and you're being mapped and serve certain creative and certain content based upon that, which is actually a little scary. So
the AI is already running the show. It's taking all our data. It's already there.
Happy 2020. It's
already got us.
God, you're in such a bad mood today.
Happy 2020. Cheers. Love it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for keeping Kira cheery.
We'll think of your sex tape after the show, and then we'll post it up on...
We'll post that later on.
What your title is.
The title. Post the title.
Not the tape.
Geoff's hypothetical. Kira already gave you her hypothetical sex tape title. And we're going to go have a Royal Rumble now.
Always.
And thank you, everyone on YouTube.
I know you guys are great.
Chiming in.
Facebook is confused. They think we're having an online auction for a couch. So, Facebook's struggling. YouTube, well done. Well done today. We're very proud of you.
Yeah.
Facebook, I don't know. We need some help with you guys.
we'll work on them. Weird auction. Okay, I don't know. What
I don't know. Yeah.
All right, lots going on YouTube though. Thank you, everybody. Spencer's Mustache, Rasta Bear, Bubbles. Everybody's on there. All right. Thank you guys. Happy 2020. Twitter. We'll be back here at Launch Radio. We are the future, and the future is Launch Radio. Happy 2020. All later.
Bye, guys.